Good evening and welcome to this election special, an In Focus election special here at Whitewater Community Television's WGTV Channel 11. I am joined by Brenda McLean from Hometown Media Group and Melissa Vance from the Wayne County Area Chamber of Commerce, who have been our partners for all of our In Focus candidate forums. We're also joined in our first segment by a man who causes more trouble than one person should. Happy to be here.
This is so
Phil
true.
Quinn. Before we get into all of that, something I absolutely have to remind you of and have to do. First of all, running camera for us tonight, once again, is Steve Michael, who is a community volunteer who has been with us, how many years? Hold up the fingers. 7 years, amazing, actually 7 years, and we appreciate him being here greatly. One of the reasons that I point Steve out in particular is because as I look down on my lap, Veterans Day is coming up, and Steve is a veteran, and thank you very much for your service to us. We greatly appreciate it in both ways. One, for what you have done, and two, for what you're doing right now. I want to remind you that the Veterans Day Parade is coming up on Saturday, November 9th at 12 o'clock. Way of showing your support for the veterans. Get out and do that. Starts at 12th and East Main. We'll go down to 4th Street. It's going to happen rain or shine. And then on Veterans Day, November 11th at 11:11, there is a service in Veterans Memorial Park. If you have not been down there, that is an extraordinary park that you should definitely make the time to go visit. And definitely, if you can be there on Monday, being at the parade on Saturday is one thing. If you can be there on Monday to show your support for our veterans, that is even much more important. We are here because some of us, everybody got it done? Everybody voted? All right. We voted. We think there may actually be people still in line trying to vote, and if that's the case, listen, do your duty. We appreciate it. But at some point in time tonight, we'll find out who's going to be the mayor, the clerk, council, and one of the reasons we asked Phil to be here is because he has been through this as a candidate, as a winner. Tell me about that learning curve first out.
Well, the learning curve, just getting out on the campaign trail, you always get a sense that everybody that you see or talk to is in favor of voting for you. And then everybody that comes up and actually says something to you, or I'm rooting for you, voting for you, then you know that those are the people that you can count on. It was just always 3 or 4 people out of 10, so you never really knew if you were really winning something or not. And then you tried to figure out, all right, where do I put my dollars? Do I put signs in the yard? Do I not? One of the most aggravating things is trying to figure out who gets a sign. And I know that the past 2 campaigns, Mayor Snow this year and 4 years ago has not had to deal with that. And I always thought, well, how do you can't win without putting campaign signs in the yard? Well, that's not true now, is it? And then honestly, during my first campaign or midway through, I started getting involved in Facebook. And it took being an elected official and having to go out and dispel rumor and correct and put facts in is when I got started in social media, which is such a big part of my life now. The weird thing is that during Election Day, I thought it was a good idea to go to the polls. Let's go work the polls. Don't approach a voter, but just nod and then make sure you thank everybody that walked out. That was always kind of the thing for me. Made sure you stayed your correct distance away. And then about 4 o'clock, just completely nerve-wracked. You're not sure if you did anything. Is there anything else you have left to do? And then, the scrolling starts and the website gets refreshed because of early voting now. We don't get to watch by precinct. We get early votes, and then we get the regular stuff.
Regular numbers.
And then there's just this huge sense of relief. And then we're in November, and then you go, geez, I gotta go get the signs. And then you're coordinating. Okay, we're gonna go to the post-election celebration, and we're gonna talk to the winners, or get together. And then you got to go out the next morning and pick up the signs. And then you're kind of like, okay, well, now this is real. And so that's about 8 o'clock. Things are going to really set in for people. I didn't lose either of the elections that I was involved in, but I've been a part of campaigns that have. That's a tough spot. And for the most part, in Wayne County, outside of what maybe we've seen on Facebook, it's been a pretty tame campaign. There's not been a lot of mudslinging between candidates, and I hope that win or lose, candidates are congratulating and thanking others, because that is the biggest deal, is putting your name on the line to begin with. So it's a big day.
What have been a couple of the big things that you have heard talked about in this election that you thought maybe needed to be discussed more?
Well, RP&L. I mean, there's cleanup that has to happen at Richmond Power and Light. What do you do about the continuation of putting in solar panels? That is such a huge job for Richmond Common Council, is to be on the board for this electric utility. Nobody really cares about their electric rates until it gets real hot or really cold, or the switch doesn't work. And that wasn't and has never been equally discussed, but that's an equal part of the job. It's an even split. From the mayor's race, boy, I just don't know that people are all that, unless you are a business in the Depot District, or unless you're a resident that is downtown. The construction concluded really before this campaign got really in, so we didn't have that really to talk about. And I think for the most part, the bike paths have not been an issue. But I thought maybe that was going to be, certainly people have wanted to make it that way. But the city has to continually deal with property tax caps and what those shortfalls are. And coming up with new ideas on generating revenue is something I would have hoped to have heard more from these candidates. That being said, I wasn't really that thrilled with Thomas Owens when he put his name on the ballot. I don't know this person. I got to hear him speak once, and I went, boy, he's not up to the task. And I have been pleasantly surprised over the course of this campaign. He has really sat down, gotten some knowledge, and win or lose, I hope he continues to stay engaged, because I think he brings a perspective that is new to this level of government. And so I'm just kind of excited. Do we get 4 more years of snow? Do we get somebody new that has had 4 years on council? Obviously, I'm pumped up, so I'm ready to go.
You're watching the In Focus election special on Whitewater Community Television's WGTV Channel 11. Phil Quinn is joining us for our first segment. I'm joined by Brenda McLean and Melissa Vance. I could hog this. He and I could talk for an hour and a half, so I'll let you all jump in and continue the conversation.
Well, you mentioned Facebook when you were running, and social media now for candidates is front and center.
Yeah.
I mean, there are other signs, newspaper advertising, right, Brenda?
Yeah.
There are other ways to reach your constituents, but social media is a big part.
Right.
How have you seen that change over the years, and how do you think that's going to affect turnout today?
Well, I don't know how it affects turnout. Right now, turnout has been low, and part of that reason, in my mind, and what I talk about on my radio show, I think so many people are so focused on the 2020 presidential election, and maybe that's what we're spending all of our time on Facebook talking about. Unless you're closely tied into one of the campaigns, I didn't see a whole lot of the vitriol that I know is on some of those threads, whether it's Twitter, but predominantly in our community, Facebook is still the beast. So what's interesting is that the candidates used it as a place to start a dialogue or a conversation. I always used it as an opportunity to say, well, here are the facts, and let me correct where you're wrong. And over the course of the threads, if someone was complaining about the job the mayor was doing, the mayor didn't engage in that. The mayor made a post, he let it fly, and then let other people just have dialogue. I think Jamie Loatman got in and tried to ask more detailed questions or kind of engage in that debate. And that's just a difference in philosophy. For me, I thought if the screen's on and if you're not personally attacking anybody else on that thread, you get to stay, and you can tear at me all you want because I'm the elected official. But I hope that each of the winners tonight, even if they're out in the county, engage in the social media to get the record out there, to get it straightforward. Speak Out Richmond was a group thread that started off, and it was very negative. And the moderators for that particular Facebook group that has more people in it than we have citizens in the city has really done a good job in limiting some of those negative comments, taking down some threads that were really negative and then not to be factual. So that has been a good place to have conversation. I didn't see a lot of candidates engaged there. You can run a citywide campaign with a lot less money using social media. We've had some fun just in the groups that I travel in. Everywhere I turned, there was a Jamie Loatman billboard. I turned here, and there was another one here, and there's another one here. And that's a huge investment to do that for the month. But when you're putting your name on the ballot for the first time, not running for re-election, you got to get your name out there. And so it has been a healthy media mix of advertising. And while I didn't see a lot of in-print advertising, certainly saw a lot of digital ads.
It's really an interesting way to get to know a candidate, not just the facts about whatever office they're running for, but to get to know them personally, because I think voters want to identify with the candidates personally.
Yeah.
They want to see some commonality so that they know they're going to represent them.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent point. One of the numbers I'm really interested in watching tonight are the straight party tickets. We have not seen much of that carry through, and you don't get a sense of it in the primaries. I'm really curious to see how many straight party tickets there are tonight, and how many do we think crossed over a particular candidate because of that particular reason. Mm-hmm. It's not about being Democrat, Republican, and in this case, a lot of libertarians on the ballot. It really is about the person that I know. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Lots of things you talked about. Social media, I mean, the good and the bad. In the small towns,
Yep.
where everybody knows everybody. There are two towns that had elections. You asked me if I voted, and the reason I didn't respond is because I didn't have an election.
That's
I live in Cambridge City, so. But Milton and Dublin both did, and one of those towns had a lot of discourse on social media and pretty serious attacks, honestly. And I saw a little moderation about trying to take those down, but it's a little less manageable, I think, in a smaller community. I think it's beneficial in a town like Richmond where you can't get to know everybody individually. Mm-hmm. I think it's helpful. I think it's very helpful.
Yeah, I certainly saw many of the candidates getting out, trying to rally the vote. If there's one thing that's been really positive about social media, everywhere you turned, everywhere in the newsfeed, here's my sticker. I voted today. There was something about taking that picture, and you just don't get one unless you actually go. So that's
right.
Good. So
it's like the ice bucket challenge,
yeah,
right?
that's right. Yeah, and we're going to continually be disappointed at voter turnout. We're going to see 20%, 24%. We're not going to get up to 40. If we did, I don't know. The polls close at 6 o'clock, but. The end of the day is that hopefully the people that are informed went to the polls and voted on who they thought was going to best represent them, because at the end of the day, that's what the job is. One of the things we talked about this morning on my show was nobody puts their name on a ballot trying to get a lot of personal gain. That's just not able to be done here. There's nobody's in it for the money, and everybody that put their name on the ballot gives a damn about their community, and I like that.
You ask a lot of questions of people on your show and out in the community. Sometimes it seems like you're everywhere.
Yeah.
What are you hearing are the 2 or 3 issues that you think most people want whoever wins to begin to tackle?
Well, I think the drug problem is number one. I think it still dominates a lot of the conversation. There's also just a tremendous amount of apathy in this community. So if I put both of those things in the box, the conversation generally doesn't start good. They don't talk about, my trash isn't getting picked up, or police or fire. You don't hear those things. You don't hear one of the really big issues that the city faces, which are these budget deficits that they've got, and these circuit breakers that have given cities like Richmond a huge shortfall. So it's kind of varied. You almost get to the point where you are hearing people complain about a candidate, or they haven't gotten enough information from a candidate. Those were the things that were the biggest issues that I heard. I don't really know Jamie Loatman. I think we need to give someone else a shot besides Mayor. So those are the things that I was hearing for the most part. But to be fair, I'm really in the weeds. I can get down and start talking. I had this debate with people that live in the 2 Mile Fringe. And it's like, get all of your neighbors together, get 100% of the vote, and then we'll tax you a little bit and you'll get the vote. I mean, come on. So
I'll say I've had 2 conversations in the last week with people who live in the 2 Mile Fringe who are thinking, you know what, maybe it's time we just
Yeah.
join in.
Right. And what I'll tell the folks that are watching that are on the 2 Mile Fringe, it really isn't fair. It is taxation without representation. Your light bill is being regulated by people that you can't vote for. Of course, zoning and sewer and trash pickup and all these sort of things. But it's up to those communities to get together. You take Toshlag Edition, for instance, and that was about, I'm going to have a Richmond address, but my kids are going to go to Centerville. Well, now that doesn't matter anymore. You can go to any school you want to go to. So I think that those communities have to get together and go, okay, do we want to have a say and a larger bit? And they weigh that against, a 3-cent tax increase or something that's pretty nominal. Mm-hmm. I hope that conversation can continue. But the city is already underserved by them, but to get some of those tax dollars back into the city hopper may be a great creative thing to do. We could also talk about food and beverage tax, because I'm all about that.
That's
well,
next.
yeah,
okay.
that was on my list.
Okay, all right, good.
You're watching the InFocus election special on Whitewater Community Television's WCTV Channel 11. At some point, hopefully this evening, you'll start to see numbers scroll across the bottom of the screen. We think early numbers will be released. They have been in the past, somewhere in the neighborhood of 6:30. If we get those, we'll bring those up. And then final numbers somewhere after 7, but we really don't know whether people were in line, still voting, and those things have to be wrapped up. So we're just taking a little bit of time. We'll also be talking with Roxy Deer and Mark Broker about HYPE a little bit later on. Jason Troutwine, Vice Chancellor of External Affairs here at Indiana University East, is also supposed to be joining us. And always right around election time, it's about paying your taxes. So Kathy Williams, our Wayne County Treasurer, is going to come in and make sure that you know how and where to pay your taxes. But in the meantime, we continue our conversation right now with Phil Quinn. And yes, you brought up the elephant in the room.
Well, I hope.
It's everywhere. Now, you were part of helping roll out a potential proposal that kind of had some holes shot in it, and that was about educational dollars, things of that nature. Have you heard anyone say what they might be willing to support? I keep hearing, well, I don't see a plan, or I don't have a plan, and it's not up to me. Okay, at some point, the discussion's going to have to begin. What will you support in order to get this done?
Richmond's in a unique position. Again, all of this is just total conjecture on my part, but we are missing some things that when we go to the state and go, look, hey, you're taking a lot of our money back from state coffers. We've had these circuit breakers. We kind of go to the state and go, man, we're just really broke over on this side. And they'll say things like, well, have you passed a food and beverage tax? No. Do you have a wheel tax? No. Okay, well, what are you doing to help yourself? And I think that's where the community needs to come together. Now, it could be a city adoption of the food and beverage tax. I think that's not great. I think there should be an interlocal agreement between Wayne County and the city to incorporate those areas. Then you have Cambridge City, Fountain City, Hagerstown. They're themselves incorporated. They would have to adopt something different. But my idea was, okay, we've got to figure out how to accentuate our location. If it's such a great thing, then how do we capitalize on it? Well, by the people that come in here and visit, the people that aren't just staying the night in the hotel, but also eating and getting gas and doing some of their other shopping for food. Use those dollars to help educate and redevelop our workforce. That was what I wanted to see, or help put together a plan to get kids that graduate from Richmond or from the county that don't have a future plan to get them into Ivy Tech or IUE somewhere locally. We do know this at Ivy Tech, 93% of the graduates that have associate's degree stay in the communities in which they live. That's good. Okay, so if education's not your thing, you want to figure out quality of life, we got that too. We'll take a portion of those dollars, up to half, whatever, and fund quality of life initiatives. Let's do some things that bring more people in the community so that they're buying more food. And I think that conversation stalled because it was an election year. Let's get all the campaign signs put away, and let's have an honest discussion about how to do it. My idea is to put a panel together.
But our problem is 3 out of 4 years is an election year of some type. Right. It's either in the county or it's the municipal election. So when do we have the discussion?
When you get a candidate that's willing to step forward saying, I'm in favor of it and we'll adopt it if you elect me. Because we've got to generate more revenue in these incorporated areas. We've been losing for far too long.
Well, and one of the things that, you talked about quality of life, I've heard from some of the people around the county, if this was actually enacted, wouldn't a great first project be our fairgrounds? That's an area that the entire county benefits from, but it needs some dollar infusion. And like you said, yes, Richmond could adopt it on their own, but if it's a county adoption, the entire county benefits. Not that the county wouldn't benefit from things happening in Richmond as well, but You're
going to be live tweeting the rest of the evening?
Well, I'm going to be helping make sure that we're getting information out on WCTV's social channels. I'll do a little bit on my own for fun, but I don't want to take away from this show. It's prime time right here. Let's everybody tune it in.
Thanks, Phil. Hey, listen, I appreciate you stepping in tonight. We are going to take a break. We will come back with more of the In Focus Election Special as we wait for results here on WGTV, Channel 11.
Watch Wayne County Connection on WGTV Channel 11 Tuesdays at 6. I'm your host, Michael Swigert. Join me this month as I talk with Phil Stevenson, Superintendent of Centerville-Abington Schools.
Academics. So our test scores have always been the highest in the area. We challenge our students and we're proud of that.
Watch Wayne County Connection on WGTV Channel 11 Tuesdays at 6.
I have had the pleasure of taking care of probably 35,000 cataract patients. It really is meaningful to people. It changes their lives. It gives them back things that they hold dear. It seems like you can't do anything without proper banking help. I've had a very good experience working with First Bank. You have people that you know and you grow a relationship with. I just have the confidence that the banking part of it will be okay.
Hi, I'm Brian Sleeper, Wayne County Director of the Cardinal Greenway. The Greenway is the longest trail in the state of Indiana at 62 miles, and we have 22 and a half of those here in Wayne County, the most out of all of the counties. The Greenway is free and open to use 365 days a year from dawn to dusk. We have 8 trailheads here in Wayne County where you can access the trail to walk, run, bicycle, or spend time outside in nature. You can find more information on the Greenway at our website, cardinalgreenways.org.
Hi, I'm Eric, host of Eastern Indiana Works. Join us this month as we take a look at the Veterans Resource Fair that's held annually at the Tom Raper Center on the Wayne County Fairgrounds in Richmond.
Much involvement as we can from the community to support the guys who have done so much for this country.
Everybody becomes a partner together to take care of the veterans, and that's what it's all about for us.
Eastern Indiana Works, Tuesday evenings at 10:30 on WETV, Channel 20. And welcome back to our In Focus Election Special here on Whitewater Community Television's WGTV Channel 11, a service of WCTV, Wayne County Area Chamber of Commerce, Hometown Media Group. Phil was in that chair. He's gone. We've moved in a couple of young ladies over here. Kathy Williams, Nancy Funk, our Wayne County Treasurer and Deputy.
Chief Deputy.
Chief Deputy.
Excuse me. Make sure we get that correct.
Chief Deputy. Remember, when you bring the lower third up, Chief Deputy. How many deputies do you have?
We have actually 6.
Okay.
Well, 5 and then myself, so.
Okay. You are here because you always come in around election time and you just make everybody smile.
I know, it just makes everybody's day because taxes are due. I'm so sorry to tell people that. But the deadline this year is November the 12th because of Veterans Day. Well, actually, it's normally in Indiana May 10th and November the 10th. Unless it falls on a holiday or a weekend. Well, this year it's on Sunday, and so we're celebrating Veterans Day on the Monday. We are closed on the 11th, so everybody don't come see us that day, but we are open on the 12th. And then let me go ahead and remind people where they can pay.
Yes.
We'll get that out of the way. So you can mail in your tax bill to us or just a check with your address, memo, what property you're paying for. You can pay at any of the branches of First Bank Richmond, Wayne Bank, West End Bank. We have a drop box on the east side, on the west side of our building between us and the courthouse. And in that drop box, you can put it in there up until midnight on the 12th. I go back at midnight and pull those out, and if they're in there, they're on time. So we have lots of different ways, or mail it in, walk into the office, so lots of options for people.
Are there a lot of questions around this time from people? And if so, what are those questions like? What is it that people don't understand or don't know most often?
Sometimes people will say, well, are there any other deductions? Is there any other exemption? Those are all handled by the auditor's office, and so we send those to the young ladies over there, and they take care of that. Or sometimes they just don't understand, why am I paying so much? So then we explain and go through and explain and where the money goes. And I had told you, I think last time, that we have this program that we do for the school kids. And actually, we just went to test school last week and did 3 different sections of 8th graders and presented our tax program. But they want us to come again in between February and March. And that tells where the money comes from, why it's as much as it is, and where it goes. And I think the kids, once they dress as the judge, the sheriff, the school teacher, the librarian, some of the things that, get paid, people that get paid by tax dollars, and then they see the money come into the county treasurer, and we turn around and pay those people. It's like, oh, I didn't know that. And I have said to them, Nancy and I, go home and tell your parents, because I can assure you a lot of them don't know that, or grandparents, and they're like, okay, I can do that.
That's a great idea.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
When you do that, let us know. We'll see if we can go in, because we've talked about maybe recording that and at least trying to present it at some point, because who knows, it might help some of the adults understand.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. It's just that, why do you want so much, and what are you doing with it? That's the part that, it's like, you really don't understand that. And we've even gone so far as to say, okay, if you didn't pay taxes, we would have to do away with maybe one of these people, someone that's dressed in our 9 jobs that we have, maybe would lose their job, because if there's no money here, how do we pay them? And would you work for nothing? Oh, no, we wouldn't do that. So they really get what we're saying. Now, if they remember it between 8th grade and getting out of high school, I don't know. You never know about that part, but we try.
See, you got to figure out one of those for the high school students to remind them their economics class or something along those lines.
Yes, exactly, because they're closer to having that home, or even a rental, that when you're renting, the person that owns that rental house then has to pay taxes. And it's like, oh, and we pay, with your income tax pays the military and the president, and, they just really putting the pieces together.
Okay. When you were here last time, you had made a trip to Florida for the christening of the USS Indiana.
Commissioning,
excuse me,
That's
of
okay.
the USS Indiana.
Yes.
And you've kind of kept that going. There was a flag that you sent me, and I read it earlier, and I'm going to tell you I don't completely remember the story, because I've read 15 things today.
That's
but
okay.
Tell us a little bit about the trip and that.
Our trip last year, we went to the commissioning of the USS Indiana, and it actually was, the way they explain it to us is, the christening is sort of like when a lady gets pregnant. Okay, you've christened it, now we're going to create this ship. And then the commissioning is it's actually born and it's going out into the world and doing its thing. So
okay, I've never heard that.
Yes, that's what I got from a sailor last year. I'm like, okay, that makes sense, but okay. So, but most people can, equate to that or relate to that or whatever. So Nancy and I and our husbands went, and we were on a committee to try to get some goodie bags and do some things for the crew, and it was wonderful, absolutely wonderful. We were there and watched the whole thing and got to meet a lot of these gentlemen. There are no ladies on the submarines because of the small space. They are working on those. We actually got to go in and see the nuclear submarine. Had to leave all your iWatch and phone and all your gear, and people have machine guns, and it was kind of like, okay. But it was really a cool thing. But they had said if we wanted to get a county flag, because we had done so much for them, if we wanted to get a county flag and send it to them, they would be glad to fly the flag and then get a picture of that flying, and then all of the crewmen would sign it. It's been a year in the works, but we got the flag back yesterday, and it is so cool. We've put it up.
We've got a picture of it.
Yes. We've put it up. There you go.
Oh.
I know you probably can't read those things, but a lot of those are their, like their officers' rank, and then their name, and there are a couple of thank you so much for your support, and the doctor said the ship's doctor, and the, I don't know what this means, captain of the boat rather than the ship's captain, but he put a little note. And one of the things they did is they do this when they come on and go off the ship, apparently. It's hoo-yah, Hoosiers. And they signed that on there, and I'm like, hey, that was, but when they all do it together last year, when they were running onto the ship, it was really a cool moment. So we're going to, Nancy and I are going to present this flag to our commissioners, but not until after the end of November, because that's Veterans Month. And we have it displayed so when people come into our office to pay the taxes, which I know they're not happy about, but they can also look at the flag. And we've had several people mention that that's also what you're looking at is a display that we made of one of the books of all the crewmen on the ship last year. So we put that up again, and we have a lot of people stop and look at that. You know, it's just a cool thing, and these guys represent Indiana. So we try to do our best to support them, and as you see, we have on our little ribbons, we've made these just to have, you know, and I had a lady say today, that is so nice of you, and her daughter is a Marine, and she really appreciated the fact that we would go to that trouble for. And it's such a small thing to do, but we want to thank all of our veterans. They do a wonderful job. And if you've never thanked a veteran, then, you know, it's past time. Start now. And as you were talking about taxes and voting, so a lot of these people worked hard and gave life and limb so that we all could get out and vote. And if you didn't vote today, then shame on you, because they put out a lot so that that could happen. And it's just very sad, and I've had people say, well, my one vote doesn't count. Absolutely it does.
Okay. Real quickly, want to remind people when their taxes are due. We've got we've got a slide up, so one more time, let's do that before we go.
November the 12th, that is this coming Tuesday. And again, you can pay in our office. We are in the rest of this week from 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Next week on Tuesday, we're in from 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. We have the drop box on the west side of our building. On the outside, you can put your payment in the drop box. You can pay at any of the branches of First Bank Richmond, Wayne Bank, West End Bank.
Okay.
It's also published in the Western Wayne News and the Middle Creek Gazette.
Yes.
All of this information.
Yes.
So.
There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies, for being here.
You are welcome.
Greatly
Thank you for
appreciate
having
it.
us.
Always happy to do it. We're going to take a break. We'll come back with more of the In Focus Election Special, and we will have some of the early numbers, not final numbers, but early vote numbers. We'll have those when we come back on WGTV, Channel 11.
Hi, I'm Sherry Harlan Davis, program host for Read Beside You. Join us on our next episode when we learn about Medicare from Rebecca Wood and Terry Ham. We'll also learn about the Read Athletic Training Clinic from Jesse Tittle and Matthew Wright. Join us Thursday, 8 o'clock, Channel 20, WETV.
Hi, how can I help you?
My daughter has a fever and she isn't feeling well.
Okay. Let's get her feeling better.
Receive quality care within the comfort of your own home. Read Health Now, right beside you.
Well, let's see if we can't get someone on here.
Hi, how can I help you today?
My dad is really sick, and I just don't want to take him out in this weather.
Okay, let's get him feeling better.
Receive quality care in minutes, even in the middle of the night. Read Health Now, right beside you.
Girls Inc. of Wayne County inspires all girls to be strong, smart, bold.
Through interactive girls-only programming.
Kindergarten through 8th grade.
Hi, I'm Dave Paxton. Join me as I'm guest hosting this month's Access to the Arts, where we'll get an opportunity to talk to some of the leaders in the arts community here in the area.
Sounds like a lot of good shows getting ready to show up on the stage at Richmond Civic Theater.
Absolutely. We got a full fall season. So right now we have 58 art pieces that are being installed in Whitewater Hall in the Tom Thomas Gallery.
Join us on Access to the Arts, Thursday nights on WCTV Channel 20.
Jane Bumplow, and I'm running for City Council at large, and I'm here at First English Lutheran Church, and voting is pretty heavy out here. I'm enjoying the day and enjoying meeting so many beautiful people, and I appreciate your support. I honestly would love to see people get along together and just work together as a community, just to love and serve each other and move us forward.
Welcome back to the In Focus election special on Whitewater Community Television's WGTV Channel 11. That work and one other that you'll see later on this evening done by Ephraim Monahan, who is working for us, a student at IU East here and also doing an internship and working, doing kind of dual duty. So we sent him out. It was his first election day. Maybe we'll talk to him later if we go long enough and see how he enjoyed being out with that. I'm joined by Melissa Vance and Brenda McLean, our partners from the Wayne County Area Chamber of Commerce and Hometown Media Group. You are going to begin seeing some numbers appear at the bottom of the screen. Okay, I thought they would magically appear when I did that, but no such luck. Thank you. Wow, come on, go quicker on that. As we go through, these are early vote numbers. These are not the final numbers. We should get those, we think, somewhere a little bit after 7 o'clock. And nothing from Dublin and Milton so far. So these are just what's going on so far where we have it. So we are joined by Roxy Deer and Mark Broker, who are with HYPE.
Yes.
Roxy, of course, is with the Wayne County Area Chamber of Commerce. Mark is with Read Health. But wanted to have you all here because there's been a lot of conversation about the engagement of young people, and you all did something that HYPE hadn't done in the past. You all actually kind of started off the political season with a mayoral debate. What was the reason behind it? What was the response to it?
I think the main reason behind that is we heard from not only young professionals, but an electorate overall that wanted to hear from their candidates firsthand. So we kind of took the lead on that. We thought as young professionals we can play that role, and we organized the debate. We heard from all three candidates. We had a lot of input on social media that night. The debates have continued to show on television and online after that. So the engagement was great, and it was a fantastic event where we got to hear from our candidates.
You were engaging not only young professionals, but you were engaging down to the high school age. What was their response to this?
So we actually had a great response because a lot of our questions actually came from high school students, and we also reached out to all of the universities within our community here. That's where a lot of our questions came from. So we directly from student body to the candidates. You can't get much closer connection than that right there for us.
Government classes really utilized the debate. They showed it in class in the following weeks and talked about how important the questions were and why getting involved at such an early age is important.
Is this something that you all have a plan to continue? Has there been conversation about, we need to do this more often, we maybe need to engage throughout the county? Obviously, next year, county officials will come up. Is that part of this equation to continue to grow and expand this?
We would love to see what that looks like in the future. We're always thinking about new plans and what that may entail. We've got great community partners that we hope to work with as well to make this a long-term thing that we're doing.
Okay. I'll let you all jump in if you need to.
Well, I was kind of interested in, broadening it out to the county. I'm actually interested in broadening hype out to the county more.
Yes.
So this is a really timely conversation for me. I would love to see you all meet periodically, in different locations around the county other than just Richmond.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. But we only had a couple of small town races, and I doubt that would have been applicable this year. But I think it would be great. I mean, obviously, we all collaborated to do candidate forums, and they weren't really a debate style. They were more of a forum, but. I think it would be a really great collaboration, or maybe you all just take that over. I don't know, but I think that's something to look at in the future.
Yeah.
Why did you all choose the debate style to go with? Just kind of as a question.
I think overall we had questions, we had kind of a program that we wanted to follow, and we had topics that we wanted each candidate, and we wanted to hear from them. So that's why we kind of chose a debate format, but to say it was a debate would be a little bit of an exaggeration because we didn't really have the back and forth per se, because we wanted to hear directly from the candidates. We did not want to have the jargon back and forth through it. We wanted to just have a good dialogue there. And then we also, during that, we wanted to have roles for our youth to play in it.
Okay.
The back and forth dialogue, that's something, that they probably wouldn't understand overall, what the need is for that. So overall, we kept it kind of close to the belt, really, per se.
Yeah. We learned a lot during that debate and during organizing this and how we can do better in the future. And one thing we learned is that most people, or the young professionals that were watching, didn't even know who the candidates were before that. And that they really learned a lot that night because they heard point blank, here's where I stand on all of these different topics. And that was a really pivotal moment for us because we were able to say, we're actually introducing the candidates to a population that may not have ever met them or may not have turned up to vote in the past.
I thought one of the really neat things that you all did, and we were talking to Phil Quinn about this earlier, was the social media engagement along with the predetermined questions. Having the questions on Twitter come in, and then WCTV, they're broadcasting it live. You were reaching far more people than were actually sitting in the audience that day right there in Civic Hall, which was an outstanding venue, by the way. Big shout out to Richmond High School for
sponsoring,
working with you on that. But that engagement, and then just kind of looking at, the number of people that were watching from afar. And the start of those conversations that hadn't previously happened. So it was great. It was very professional, very well done.
Thank you. As you all have followed up with some of your peers, what's the conversation been like? Did they hear what they wanted to hear, or were there topics that they thought needed to be expanded on because the talking points really didn't talk to them?
For me personally, a lot of them don't know the topics that are of concern or that may be facing our candidates. And so this, even when we wrote the questions, we wrote them so we were explaining what is the food and beverage tax, why is economic development in downtown important. We didn't want to say, well, how do you feel about food and beverage? Because the audience wouldn't know what that was, and they wouldn't be able to form an opinion on why that was an important topic. So for us, the topics were as much education as the answers were.
Okay. Did you all, just between yourselves, did you all hear during this election cycle what you wanted to hear? You all are the next generation coming up. You all are the ones who things are going to be passed on to. As you look around, as you listen to the conversation from candidates, both on the county and the city levels, what is it that you're hearing or not hearing that you think there should be more understanding from those running for office, that at some point, this is the way it needs to be, this is the way it needs to look?
I think overall from young professionals, what we look at is we have a certain topics that we feel is very important to us. One is going to be economic development. When you have a young professional, you either have a real young kid typically, or you're thinking about, okay, I'm going to have a family moving down the line. So economic development is crucial. How is this community going to keep rising, or where is our path forward? So that's number one always. So to say we heard from the candidates what we wanted to hear, I don't know if you ever hear from a candidate during an election cycle what's going to happen for sure after.
But is the conversation at least there? Do they seem to understand what you're looking for as opposed to what I was looking for or what my parents were looking for?
Yeah,
you all have opportunities that we never had.
Yeah.
Working from wherever it is you want to live, that wasn't quite a thing.
For me, I wanted to hear from our candidates about quality of life, that if young professionals are going to continue to move here, there has to be a piece of life that they can enjoy. And we're starting to touch on those topics. We're seeing the Parks Department really grow and thrive here. And I want to see the growth continue with the quality of life piece, because I think that's how we're going to continue to retain and attract young professionals to the community.
Give us a couple examples for the listeners of what you mean by quality of life, not just the parks, but what would be a meaningful step in that regard?
For me, it's about nightlife. It's about having things to do in the community. I know we always harp on the fact that we live so close to all the other big communities, but sometimes I just want to stay in Wayne County and have something to do on the weekends that is young profession. There are plenty of things to do in Wayne County. I will say that over and over and over again, but making sure that activities are drawing in young professionals and they're actually built for young professionals too.
How do you do that? Okay, I want to open a business. I'm 60-something years old. But I want to attract you all because you're the next generation with money. What does it need to look like?
It needs to be, for me, I don't know, and you may have a different opinion.
And everybody's going to have one, but just kind of that general conversation.
Someplace I can go in the middle of the day and grab a cup of coffee. I can go at night and have, it's a relaxed environment, but it's open when I want it to be open. And that looks different for everyone.
Absolutely, and with the young professional, you're correct with technology. We need to have that technology and faster internet. No matter how fast it is, we want it faster because we want things. If you think we need it fast now, we need it faster yet. So that's something we always have and strive and want for. And also, we want to have that local shop to go to. Believe it or not, young professionals, a lot of them want to stay home. If they have the ability to go have coffee at a local shop, when their parents come or friends, if they can go to a local restaurant, we are going to go there over anywhere else. That's something that young professionals kind of get a lack of respect for overall, because we are very home bodies overall. When we get down to it, we just like technology also with that. So it's a little bit of both.
And if you think you fight that in Richmond, imagine what the small communities that are trying to grow face, because basically, most places close at 9 o'clock Monday through Friday, or not Friday. Friday, might be 10 o'clock, or maybe there's a place that stays open till 1 or something. But obviously, we recognize people our age, not Melissa's.
Somewhere in the middle.
We recognize those things are important to people that we want to draw to the community, and it's hard to be able to offer that in a community of 2,000 people, but it's important to us. So.
We've recently been in conversation with a couple of groups in concert, talking about how we can get more young professionals to their events. And is it a discounted ticket? Is it a young professional specific event? Is something that will actually make young professionals want to go and not feel like, oh, that's there, but it's not really for me. So making them available.
How important do you hear from your peers that a walkable, bikeable community is? Because that's something we've heard about a lot during this election in Richmond, but even when we think about places like Cambridge City or Hagerstown, being a walkable community, a destination, how important is that, do you think, to young voters?
For me, it's very important. I assume my peers would agree.
I would also agree with that, and it's not really our opinion. I would say data also provides that. Young professionals want that when they want to be able to go somewhere and not to get in a car. There's young professionals that don't not even own a car because if they can walk there, bike there, maybe it's when this weather's nice, if you have a motorcycle, something like that, easily get there, get home, have that. I mean, even like loft apartments, things like that. That's what young professionals are looking for, because there's a time right now where young professionals are actually moving towards the city to be centralized to everything around them.
Okay. Mark Brooker, Roxy Deer, thank you all very much. If you want to hear how some communities are doing it actually north of us, if you have a chance to watch the Inside Indiana Business program that's going to be coming on Channel 20 at about 8:30 this evening, I got a chance to see it this weekend when it was airing, and they talk about what's going on in that community up in northwest Indiana and how they're doing some of that walkable, bikeable type of thing and how important it is. You might want to check that out. We're going to take a break, come back with Jason Troutwine, Vice Chancellor of External Affairs here at Indiana University East, when we continue with our election special here on WGTV, Channel 11.
Hi, I'm Roxy Deer with the Wayne County Area Chamber of Commerce. Join me for Chamber Chat as we talk about all things buy local this month. First, we'll hear from Julie Frame from the Barn at Helm, as well as Eric Nicholson and Ed De La Paz talking about Small Business Saturday and the Buy Local Committee.
And then, shop all down Main Street in the Depot area.
Watch Chamber Chat Tuesday evenings, 8 p.m. on Channel 20 WETV.
When we look at public health preparedness, we look at the overall health of the community during a disaster. When you look at a public health disaster, there are numerous things that people can do to take care of themselves. And whether that's good hygiene, washing your hands for at least 20 seconds with soap and warm water when you touch things, not touching your hand to your face, but also if you look at a long-term public health disaster, you want to make sure that you have a great family disaster kit available, meaning that you have at least 72 hours worth of food, water, medications, those daily commodities that we need to live off every day. The best thing that you can do in a public health disaster is to stay informed. Listen to your government officials and what they suggest. If there's vaccines that we need to get or medications that we need to get in a disaster, make sure that you have those. But more than anything, make sure that you are educated, that you are prepared, and that you are well informed through the agencies that are helping to help you.
The Independent Living Center of Eastern Indiana empowers people with disabilities through advocacy, information and referral, independent living skills, peer support, and transition. We're supported by the state of Indiana, Reed Community Benefits, United Way, Wayne County Foundation, First Bank, U.S. Bank, and individual donors. For more information, give us a call or see us online.
Hello, I'm Rick Boston, partner in BBKCC Law Firm.
I'm Doug Oler, partner in BBKCC Law Firm.
We would like to invite you to join us for the next edition of Legal Briefs. We'll be discussing legacy trust, and certainly with the bankruptcy, you'd have to be aired on WETV, Channel 20, the Whitewater Educational TV on Tuesday evenings at 10 o'clock p.m.
And welcome back to our In Focus election special here on WGTV Channel 11. You'll continue to see some numbers roll across the screen. Those are early vote numbers from last week's voting and voting that has taken place. We do not yet have the numbers for today, but as soon as we get those, they will go up and you will be able to figure that out. I'm continuing to be joined by Brenda McLean from Hometown Media Group, Melissa Vance from the Wayne County Area Chamber of Commerce, our partners in our election specials. We've changed the person in the seat again, Jason Troutwine, Vice Chancellor of External Affairs here at Indiana University East. I kind of have to say, is kind of my boss.
You do great. You don't need anything from me. So
lobbing some softballs. One of the reasons I wanted to have Jason in, and for those, we'll have to put a camera up there next time. There is a room, the community engagement room, which was actually built into the library. And one of the things that I think some people thought when Indiana University East began to make the change away from associate's degrees toward more of a regular college campus was that they would lose that community engagement that had always been a part of this. That's not the case at all. There are at least more opportunities maybe for the community to engage here, and we wanted to talk about that a little bit.
Sure, it'd be my pleasure. Actually, I had a chance to go up to that room just before I stepped down here, and it's a packed house up there, so congratulations, that's great. I know they're all anxiously waiting to see what's going to happen tonight. But
yeah, they'll be picking up fingernails off the floor.
But you're absolutely right, Eric. You know, as IU East has transitioned throughout the years, community engagement has stayed at the core of what we do. I mean, that's why we exist as a regional campus, is to be here for the region, to help with economic development, to help with young professionals, to help people want to stay here. And our student body, there's a number that we had a dedication earlier today to talk about the beginning of our campus and to celebrate that with IU and the IU Bicentennial Historical Marker and also the State Historical Marker. And one of the numbers that was quoted is 40,000 hours of volunteerism and service learning. Our students do that every year. And so our students are involved in the community, and we're really proud of that.
You're talking about, we were talking with Mark and Roxy before, and you were talking about Adulting 101. What is that?
So Adulting 101, it's great timing to see Roxy and Mark here. They've done a great job with hype, and it's really encouraging to see that group continue and have inertia and do some good things. We partnered with them actually last year. So our School of Business and Economics, Oilin Cheng, wrote a grant with IU CREED, and that's an Economic Development Council for IU. And the grant was called Adulting 101, and the whole idea was that get young professionals involved and to do essentially a kind of a fun night for them, but to bring in some professionals in the community. So for example, one focused on financial planning, one focused on actually wills, thinking about some of the young professionals who might have children and what they might need to do, or aging parents, making sure that their parents get their wills done so they don't have to mess with all of that. And then also just healthcare and a lot of other things that maybe they haven't been coached on or they haven't heard about, but are necessities as we kind of go through adulthood.
Go ahead.
One of the things one of those sessions was networking, and I know I was supposed to be there that night, and I think I was sick or something. Sick that night. But at any rate, that's an area that, you know, businesses are really benefiting from these students learning those soft skills so that when they go to work and they need to engage, they actually know how to do it and they're comfortable doing it. Right. And, you know, so from a chamber perspective, that was huge to the area businesses, and just making sure that the students are walking away with some of those skills that are a little bit outside the normal classroom.
Right. Kim Poinsett from First Bank Richmond, and then Tim Scales, one of the professors here at IU East with the School of Business and Economics, they were the two kind of mentors that night. And they talked about just, you know, how you go into a room, talked about, you know, trying to, one of the questions that came up was, hey, I'm in a room and it's kind of like a reception. How do you just go up to people that you don't know and start to engage in some conversation? And Kim and Tim were great for that. But also one of the messages that they shared with them that night was get involved in a community. be involved in board service. That's, helping nonprofits. That's where you can really start to meet other people and develop some really meaningful relationships. And that's a great place for that to start. And I think those young professionals that were there that night really walked away with something valuable.
It's a good segue into the grant that you all just got from Wayne County Foundation, because it is in fact helping students go into those nonprofits and get engaged and start to do some hands-on work.
Yeah, we're really excited. The Wayne County Foundation, through the Forward Wayne County Committee, put forth a grant RFP, and we submitted a proposal called Empower Wayne County. And essentially what that does is it allows for teams of 4 students, IUE students, to go to 5 nonprofits in town, and they're interdisciplinary teams. So maybe one is expertise in finance, maybe another in marketing, maybe one might be in social work, who knows. And so they can work on projects together. So for example, they're going to be at the Wayne County Historical Museum helping them with interactive exhibits. They'll be at the Neighborhood Health Center helping with marketing plan, especially to the Latino community. They'll be working with Livestream, working with the Purdue Extension Office, and also with Richmond Art Museum on a project called Van Gogh, which I know that Sean and Lance are pretty excited about. So.
It's not only your students that are participating, though. Obviously, you've got faculty here that are out in the community helping a number of different organizations from the Sheriff's Department through.
Absolutely. We have folks, for example, Dr. Minji Parker, you talked about the Sheriff's Department. Dr. Minji Parker works very closely with Corey George in the probation office, also with the Sheriff's Department, working on a lot of training with them. Also, I know Dr. Parker crunches a lot of data for them. He's really good at that. But we also have a lot of faculty members who serve on boards throughout the community. And that's all the way from the chancellor. Chancellor, I think, is on 8 boards right now. I don't know how she does all of that. But we see so many people around our campus, faculty, staff, students who are active and really, they're diving right in and giving back and helping to just the things that Roxy and Mark were talking about, make sure that this place and this community is some place that people want to stay and we can attract them here too.
Mm-hmm. We're going to let you go in a couple of minutes, but it's homecoming week. A lot of excitement around the campus this week.
Yeah, so I just actually walked away from a basketball game. The women's team was playing. The men's team probably, I think they may have already started. Our pep band was playing over there. We have a bonfire later. We had the dedication. By the way, thank you, Melissa, for being at the dedication and one of our presenters today. So a lot of activities going on. And then next week we have our Chancellor's Medallion Dinner, and we'll recognize Ginger Gray, Rick Boston, and Tom Williams as Chancellor Medallion recipients, and that's next Friday on November 15th, so we're excited about that.
Before we go, want to remind folks also the library has been hosting Family Read. They've done 2 so far this fall. The 3rd one is actually coming up this Saturday from 10 to 11:30 in the library, which is here in Hayes Hall on the Indiana University East Campus. Read about people, places, history, explore content. They were doing yoga the first time that I was there. So hopefully a lot of people can come and enjoy that and enjoy a lot of what's going on here on the campus. The Whitewater Valley Art Competition is posted in the Tom Thomas Gallery.
It's a great exhibit, so anyone who wants to come out and look around, it's a terrific exhibit. Carrie Longley and her team did a great job.
Okay. Jason Troutwine, Vice Chancellor of External Affairs for Indiana University East. We appreciate you spending some time with us this evening. You can go back to the basketball game.
All right, great. All right, go Red Wolves.
We're going to take a break, and we'll come back with more of the In Focus election special. I think we've got candidates who they took the easy way out. They didn't have an opponent, so nobody knows anything about them. We'll talk to them coming up in just a little bit as our In Focus election special continues on Whitewater Community Television's WGTV, Channel 11.
You are watching Whitewater Government Television, Channel 11.
Hi, Hi, how can I help you?
My daughter has a fever and she isn't feeling well.
Okay, let's get her feeling better.
Receive quality care within the comfort of your own home. Read Health Now, right beside you.
Well, let's see if we can't get someone on here.
Hi, how can I help you today?
My dad is really sick and I just don't want to take him out in this weather.
Okay, let's get him feeling better.
Receive quality care in minutes, even in the middle of the night. Read Health Now, right beside you.
When was the last time you visited the Joseph Moore Museum, one of Eastern Indiana's hidden treasures? Come check out one of 2 Egyptian mummies in Indiana. See skeletons of a giant beaver, mastodon, dinosaur. Look up at the stars and discover much, much more. Open year-round Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 1 to 5, and parking and admission are always free. The Joseph Moore Museum on the Earlham College campus in Richmond, Indiana.
Hi, I'm Tim Scales, the Director of the Center for Entrepreneurship and the host of In Your Business. Join us for our next episode when our guest will be representing the Old Schoolhouse Winery in Eaton, Ohio.
We're using our wine grapes, and it's just a classification they give grapes. So wine grapes, they have seeds, and there's thousands and thousands of varieties.
You can watch In Your Business Tuesday nights at 9:30 on WETV Channel 20.
My name is Kelly Cruz Nicholson, and I am running for District 2 Council seat. This will be my 3rd term. So I'd really like to work on the fact that my district is a food desert. You know, we've lost 2 grocery stores in the last 11 years, and that kind of, for those folks that don't have transportation, it's really hard for them to get around to get food and things like that. Another thing I'd like to work on still, and I've been working on it for years, is just working with the landlords and the tenants. You know, we have good landlords, we have bad landlords, we have bad tenants, we have good tenants, you know, but being able to provide a living environment that is appropriate for everyone.
There you go. Okay, we've lost control in here. Welcome back to the Focus Election Special on Whitewater Community Television's WGTV Channel 11. Before we go on, one thing I do want to remind you about that we missed, the IU East Red Wolves will be playing again a week from today on Tuesday evening. Actually, it will be a really big game. They are playing Indiana Wesleyan. Indiana University East is ranked 13th. Indiana Wesleyan is ranked 4th. So if you want to watch a really good basketball game, and we're in Indiana, who doesn't? The IU East Student Events and Activities Center next Tuesday night is the place to be. If you can't get there, we'll have the game on WETV Channel 20. We are joined in studio by Doug Goss, Jeff Kappa, Gary Turner, and Jeff Locke, who are all winners this evening.
There's a reason why we were all laughing.
They are members of the Richmond Common Council who, for one reason or another, ran unopposed. So, gentlemen, congratulations to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I hear that's an easy way to do this deal. But people have not had a chance to hear from you all as far as what you think, what you feel about some of the issues. I know 3 of you all are currently sitting on the council. You've passed a budget here over the last week. You passed a salary ordinance last night. Was not unanimous, was 6-3. You'll get into this in the coming year. Talk a little bit about what the last year or couple years on council has been like for you all, and where you see what you want to do going forward, if you've got an idea of what you want to see going forward. Start with you.
Okay. Well, over the past 2 years, I think we've picked up steam on several of the issues that caused me to run initially. One's the comprehensive plan. The other's downtown revitalization. Third is enforcement of cleaning up around the city. And the last would be stabilizing neighborhoods. And for each of those issues, naturally, every 4 years we have an election, but that causes there to be a stutter step in progress towards resolving those matters. So Past 2 years, we've made a lot of headway. Those are the things that I would continue to focus on as I continue to serve my district.
Okay. And your district is?
6.
Where is it?
It's the west side.
Okay.
Just start there. I'm in District 5, which is basically the north end of Richmond. From, if you drew a line on the south side of the health food store down here on Chester Boulevard, I've got everything north of that if you drew a line east to west. Some of the things I'm interested in is also downtown revitalization. I'm involved with the Urban Enterprise Association, been on that board for 4 years as a council appointment. I also serve on the city center board with Melissa, and I think those are some of our goals, is to try to help revitalize downtown. Urban Enterprise has a smaller zone that, we work with businesses, and there's tax incentives for companies to get involved with the UEA. Some of the progresses we made, of course, you've heard this before, tearing down Old Reed, getting that eyesore down. We work together with the county and EDC and all that to do that. But, revitalization, the next big project's coming up. What are we going to do with the Old Reed property? They're doing studies now or to figure that out. We've got the comprehensive plan that's soon is going to come to finalization. So those are some of the things that I think will help drive Richmond in the future.
Well, I agree with them. Downtown revitalization, we're making some great progress with that. Facade renovation. I've seen that a couple of new businesses down there. The former bank that was at the corner of South 7th and Main there. It looks like there's somebody in there. Somebody bought the Olympia candy, it looks like. So there's some activity happening down there, and we need to continue to focus on trying to help that go forward. One of the things that I thought that's happened over the last couple of years was we made some adjustments into our tax abatements, and they raised the rate that people need to pay to get a tax abatement for us. So, not so that we're bringing in higher paying jobs for our people. We need to continue to focus on the blight. We had a budget where we had to go into the reserves this time. Part of the issue was our assessed value, overall assessed value has dropped. We need to basically, the idea of tearing down all the blighted properties, there's some of that needs to happen, but there's also needs to be some revitalization that happens as well. We need to come up with a plan to increase assessed values on some of the existing properties that are already there. How we do that, we're going to have to figure that out as a group.
Our last guest is Jeff Kappa, who had a chance to retire and just won't take it. Isn't there a golf course with your name on it someplace?
He's too young.
He stepped out of the sheriff's office, decided to run for Richmond Common Council. Why did you do that, and what are you hoping? What are some of the issues that drove you to decide to put your name in that hat?
Well, I've got District 4, which is basically Henley Road to the state line and around a little bit of area of Glen Miller Park. Growing up in Richmond all my life, I grew up on the west side, or Southwest 4th Street, and being involved in the county government for 38 years, I felt I still had something to offer, and they were looking for candidates to fill some of those positions, so I decided I would put my name in the hat to help run for council. I agree with everything that all three of them have said. I know all three of them, look forward to working with all of them. One of the things that Gary brought up was the property tax caps that we have. The revenues are shrinking. As Doug made mention, the budget that was passed for next year, they had to get into the city reserves. We cannot continue to do that, though. I want to see a strategic plan session put together by all of us, being bipartisan, working to put a plan together for our finances for the city. Our reserves are going to continue to go down if we keep doing that. We can't do that. We have to look at how we're going to be able to provide services, bring in different types of revenue into the budget, but also try to build up our reserves a little bit as well. The blight, they have been working on the blight. I've had an opportunity since I decided I wanted to run for council to go around some of the neighborhoods and take a look at some of the neighborhoods. We still have a big problem with the blight, and we're going to have to come up with another plan to work together to get those problems solved. If we have people wanting to come in and start new industry in our area, They're going to drive through the city of Richmond. I know I would. If I was going to be a company owner, I would like to see what we have in our area. We need to work together as a team to get some of these situations taken care of, and that's working with the mayor, it's working with the clerk, it's working with the county officials, it's working with everyone to get this done. And that's what I want to help add to city council.
I'll see if there's a question here, because you know me, I could do a follow-up all the way around the room. But
Well, Gary, I know you're on redevelopment commission, and all of you had mentioned downtown development as being a major focus for you. But talk a little bit about how the city of Richmond, when there is a restraint on budgets, how do you go about infusing dollars in the downtown area, and especially dealing with out-of-town building owners and getting those properties in the right hands so that downtown can flourish?
Well, with respect to getting money infused from other than property tax, you're familiar with the opportunity zone concept, and that's an investment strategy that we hope will bring private investors into the downtown to start some of the restoration of those buildings. We're almost at the end of the process of preparing a strategy for that. In fact, it's supposed to be issued by the end of the month. I'd hope by the first of the year that we're in a position to actually start talking to prospective investors about specific buildings and projects in the downtown. Now, with respect to out-of-town owners, on the other hand, I don't think there's any particularly good strategy other than attempting to buy the property out from under them. And I honestly think that's really the only strategy that will, in the end, be successful. And of course, that costs, and we've got to be able to negotiate a reasonable price. And that's about all I can say about that situation.
We obviously, as a community, we're successful in gaining ownership of the former Elder Bierman building, and I know the Economic Development Corporation has been talking to some potential investors. What do the two of you see as potential options for that? And if you had a magic wand, what would you put there? What would be the best fit?
Well, I'm on the board of Birth to 5, and we have 12 employees at Birth to 5. And one of the issues that I know that the foundation's worked with is try to get a lot of these nonprofits to work together so they're not duplicating services and stuff like that. My idea is to take like 10 Birth to 5 size nonprofits put on the first floor of that building. If so you'd have basically 120 people now working downtown that are going to go out to eat, that are going to go shopping on their lunch, and that would pull some people in there to help revitalize downtown. And then on the top floor, we've talked about a convention or tourism, some place to have fairly large events. I think doing the whole building for that is a little too much, but I think starting with that top floor, we utilize it for that. You got parking right across the skywalk there in the parking garage, and we try to make that happen. And we say we give you a year and a half to fill that up on a regular basis.
All I've been told by several of the city employees is the city building is in very bad shape. If you take a look at what we have been spending and what the estimates are to repair that building, the county, my understanding is paying for the upkeep of that building currently right now. If that building can be refurbished on the inside and the city building is in that bad of a shape, maybe we need to have a study done to see what it would cost to refurbish that building. That building has plenty of room. They're running out of room inside the city building. I know the Richmond Police Department is running out of room downstairs where they're at. Some of the other associated costs that they have with some of the problems they're having with the plumbing and so on. You have all the other offices upstairs. That building has enough square footage that they could use that building and refurbish that and possibly take a look and do a study, see if they can turn that into the new city building. If that building right now that we currently have for the city building is going to cost so much money to refurbish that, maybe we are money ahead by taking a look and using that building for that purpose. It's still centrally located downtown. It's close to the courthouse. You have the parking garage, which is attached to it. You have the parking on the outside as well for those that are citizens that are coming into the area. Then you have there's separate levels inside that building where you can actually wall it off. You could have the police department down on the bottom floor of it. You could have the rest of the city administration up at the top of the building. There's different things we need to take a look at. But I think we need to do really in-depth studies on how we're going to spend this money, because the revenues are still going down, as you were talking about. And we're going to have to take a look at that. But that could be one purpose that I was thinking about you could use that building for.
You're not the first person that has said something to that effect. Interestingly, what both of you have proposed as at least options would be nonprofit going in there. And we obviously have heard a lot of pushback about nonprofits locating in the TIF district, and then what does that do to TIF dollars and cultivating the redevelopment of the rest of the area. How does that fit? And I just toss it out to anybody who wants to comment.
If nobody wants to comment.
Yeah, that's comment. Sorry, that was a hardball. And it was really just a question.
I think that you're talking about the downtown area. You're only talking a one block area. If you turn that building, for example, and the example I gave, into the city building, what are you going to do with the property that the current city building sits on? Are you going to tear this building down? Are you going to take it down? What are you going to use that property for? That property could be turned into something else. I understand you're going to have your TIF district, but we have several of them in this Richmond community. But what's the best use of that particular building?
You know, as a member of the City Finance Committee, we have asked the mayor to undertake a study, not only to study City Hall, Fire Station number 1, the city street department's probably close to 100 years old. You know, they can't get all their equipment inside, so that's one of the things we have asked the mayor to undertake, is to do a study on all of our buildings, like the county did a year or so ago on all the county buildings, because we need to know where we're at. We need to know how much money down the road we're going to have to set back to maintain our buildings. I mean, you know, the fire station was probably built it's 50 years old, and you know, it's not energy efficient anymore. Probably same thing with City Hall, but as you said, we're out of room. So, you know, what are our options? And you know, we just need to undertake, you know, through the park system everywhere, study our buildings and see what down the road is going to surprise us.
Back to your question, though, I think, you know, the key to revitalization of the downtown area is creating the demand. And if you have 120 people down there working, you're going to create demand, which would help revitalize the rest of downtown, which would probably make up the difference in that building being a nonprofit building.
Let me add a little something to that. There's been an effort funded by the county. RQAW, an architectural firm in Indianapolis, has been working on a study of the Elder Beerman building, and all the uses that they foresee going into it would be for-profit, and they're nearly finished with that, and we hope to present those concepts to prospective, I can't say it tonight, developers who might pick up those plans and carry them forward for us. So it's not that we have, you know, nothing on the horizon for that building, because there are a lot of initiatives that are working toward having, you know, a specific development happen there. Another couple of months, we'll see what's happened.
Okay. Any final thoughts as you all head out to pull your signs from the yards?
I already did.
You already got yours?
Yeah, about noon today.
By noon?
Yeah.
The polls didn't close? I guess
I don't think it would change the
outcome. Get them while the sun is shining.
Yeah. Well,
congratulations, gentlemen. You all have had a long, hard fight. You'll continue or take your office in early January. So obviously you have your work cut out for you. Hopefully we can have you all back at some point in time, have most of the council back and talk about some issues here on the In Focus program. Jeff Kappa, Doug Goss, Jeff Locke, and Gary Turner, thank you all very much for being here.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. We're going to take a break, come back with We're in the ad-lib mode now. This is really going to get fun. As we continue with the In Focus election special here on Whitewater Community Television's WGTV, Channel 11.
Hi, my name is Travis Lang, voice of the IU East Red Wolves and host of Inside IU East Sports. I'm here talking weekly with players and coaches of the IU East teams and just talking about sports and, well, anything and everything in general. Tune in every Friday at 8:30 p.m. for Inside IU East Sports on WCTV.
Because there are dreams of what the future should look like. Because there are questions with uncertain answers. Because there are basic needs not being met. Because after-school care makes a big difference. Because every child deserves to read above grade level. Because you live united, a love of learning is developed. Kids have positive after-school experiences. Needs are being met. Questions are being answered. Futures are no longer just dreams. The United Way of Whitewater Valley fights for the well-being, education, and financial stability of our whole community. Together, we can make a difference. Join us in the fight. Live united.
Keep up with local government information and shows with WGTV Online. Go to WCTV.info and click on the WGTV Online button. It's a live stream and video on demand site in one. Click the play button, you'll see whatever's on the air on WGTV Channel 11, or scroll down for videos on demand. Choose whatever meeting or show you'd like to watch. It's easy to stay informed with WGTV Online, a service of Whitewater Community Television. Join WETV Tuesday evening for a clash of basketball powers in the IU East Student Events and Activity Center. The 4th-ranked Wildcats of Indiana Wesleyan University come calling to battle the 13th-ranked IU East Red Wolves. Come out and show your support for the hometown Red Wolves. If you can't make it to the gym, catch the action live with the pregame show beginning at 6:55 on Wayne County's Education Access Station and TV home of the Red Wolves. WETV, Channel 20.
Welcome back to In Focus Election Special on Whitewater Community Television's WGTV Channel 11. At some point in the very near future, you will begin to see numbers going across the screen, and those will be final numbers. So what you will be seeing will have the final votes in, so we will be watching for those coming up in just a few minutes. In the meantime, we've taken a couple of minutes to pull in the party chairs for Wayne County. Beth Herrick for the Democrats and Gary Saunders for the Republicans. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
Glad to be here.
This night brings to a close one race, but how quickly do you all start thinking about the next one?
Start thinking right away, because January we'll start signing up to run again. So it'll be a countywide race then. So we've got to get ready for that.
A number of offices that will be up at 2 commissioners?
2 commissioners, the council, county council at large.
3.
Treasurer. There's a couple others, I think. I'm not sure.
Clerk. And there's some U.S. as well, right? Or governor? Governor's up, right? I mean, that's not local, but
District 6,
there's lots of folks
there will be some of those state representatives will be up, things of that nature.
Right.
How, as this election cycle comes to an end, how did it play out for you all? As you all kind of watch the candidates, watch people develop, watch people grow, listen to the conversation, what is it that, as party chairs, you all are actually looking for and listening for?
We're listening to the voters. You know, a lot of folks had a lot of opinions, and with 9 candidates on the ticket this time for both of our sides, that's a lot of candidates, and they're hearing a lot of things about what our community wants, what our community dreams about, and I think that's really important. There's a lot of energy out there right now. Some of it is channeled to the positive. Some of it is, you know, more critical, and that's fair. You get that always. So we're trying to listen to the voters, but it's been a good race, I think. Gary?
I think it's been a good race. Met a lot of nice people. As far as county, we was never really involved in the city election as much, other than helping them out some, but they kind of run it themselves. This year, they wanted the county to be involved in it, and good candidates. I mean, from the get-go, they wanted it to be kept nice, clean, no negativism on their part, which I appreciate that. I don't like negativism politics. I see enough of that on television. And
how do you keep that from filtering down to the local level, since social media is so prevalent these days?
Well, I think you've seen some of it, but the candidates was trying to remain positive. I got to hand it to the candidates. They tried remaining positive. Mm-hmm. There was some negativism out there on social media, but you're going to have that anywhere. It doesn't make any difference what it is, whether it's politics or work-related or what. There's always negativism out there, and that's a sad part of where our country's headed with all the negativism. So.
I was proud of our candidates. I feel like they can all hold their heads high. I haven't seen the results yet. I'm eager to, but I'm holding my head high, proud of the work that they did. So I'm grateful.
They really worked hard. The candidates did. I mean, they got out there and they walked and knocked on doors. So the candidates really worked hard. Showed they was interested in what they was running for, and I'm proud of them. Like Beth said, I'm proud of the candidates.
Anybody who puts their name out there, I'm impressed with. I mean, seriously, you basically put yourself on the line when you
and
do
your
that.
family.
Yes.
I mean, it's a whole it's a commitment. We've had some dedicated folks. So.
Just a reminder once again that the numbers that you are seeing on the screen are the final results from this year's general election. As we talk about 2020 and what's coming up, particularly here in Wayne County, the pressure is probably more on you in some ways. The county government right now and for a number of years have been controlled almost completely by the Republican Party. How does the Democrat Party on a county level begin to grab a seat, whether it's a seat on the Wayne County Council or one of the other seats? How does that look like? How do you begin to groom candidates to look not just at Richmond, but really on a larger scale?
We've elongated our recruitment and vetting cycle, so we've started having conversations already, and that's just what you have to do. I believe that our last race, we had some real enthusiasm in some of the county level. We didn't come up with any wins, but we had some enthusiasm there. So unfortunately, as the national political scale is getting more and more polarized, and unfortunately I think more and more negative, we're seeing folks more interested in the Democratic Party locally. So I'm feeling that buoy. I don't like the reason it's, part of the reasons it's there, but that's part of it, I think, and that'll help with us. But you're right. We're the ones that need to push forward right now because the Republicans have been in control of the county level for a long time, and if folks are disappointed there, they should call me because I'm recruiting.
Good job for the shout out.
Best recruiting, but I've been on county council for 15 years now, and we're financially well off as far as county government. We're well off, and that says a lot for the Republican office holders that we have. They're frugal with the money. They control it. And just really treat it like their own money, you know what I'm saying? We take care of that. I was always taught you take care of your money yourself. You know, you don't give it away and waste it. So I like to tell people I had a teacher that was our class sponsor in high school. And we was pretty well off as far as our class was. But if we wanted to do something, we didn't spend the money we had. We had to make more money. So when it comes time to take our senior trip, it was paid for. So that kind of instilled a lot in me as my way of thinking about how you handle money and stuff. So
Frugality is important, and I think accountability is important. It's also important not only to take care of your money, but take care of your people. And those are some of the times, you know, you've got to be wise and figure out when to invest and where to invest. And that's one of the places where our parties diverge sometimes.
Well, that diverge, but yet the law says what you can do with that money. You know, you can't just go out and give it away or buy food and stuff like that.
Of course not.
There's certain things you could do with the county money. You got to take care of that money.
Of course.
And you can't do a lot of things a lot of people would like to do. So.
Well, one thing's for certain, and you alluded to the rise and at least the conversation, Beth. Not just the Democratic Party, I think, but just as a whole, communities, individuals, people really looking at issues and identifying what's important to them, and hopefully that, I mean, I know we had a low voter turnout, at least in the early voting, but hopefully that conversation at least gets people thinking and gets people to the polls to actually say what's important to them.
Well, it's like the old saying, if you don't vote, don't complain.
Right. That's true. Right.
And,
The people voted, and we are going to bring in 3 of the candidates who won for council at large. So we're going to take a break. Thank you all very much for being here. Greatly appreciate it. And we'll be back with more of the In Focus election special on Whitewater Community Television's WGTV Channel 11.
Watch Wayne County Connection on WGTV Channel 11 Tuesdays at 6. I'm your host, Michael Swigert. Join me this month as I talk with Phil Stevenson, Superintendent of Centerville-Abington Schools.
Academics. So our test scores have always been the highest in the area. We challenge our students, and we're proud of that.
Watch Wayne County Connection on WGTV Channel 11 Tuesdays at 6.
I have had the pleasure of taking care of probably 35,000 cataract patients. It really is meaningful to people. It changes their lives. It gives them back things that they hold dear. It seems like you can't do anything without proper banking help. I've had a very good experience working with First Bank. You have people that you know and you grow a relationship with. I just have the confidence that the banking part of it will be okay.
Hi, I'm Brian Sleeper, Wayne County Director of the Cardinal Greenway. The Greenway is the longest trail in the state of Indiana at 62 miles, and we have 22 and a half of those here in Wayne County, the most out of all of the counties. The Greenway is free and open to use 365 days a year from dawn to dusk. We have 8 trailheads here in Wayne County where you can access the trail to walk, run, bicycle, or spend time outside in nature. You can find more information on the Greenway at our website, cardinalgreenways.org.
Hi, I'm Eric, host of Eastern Indiana Works. Join us this month as we take a look at the Veterans Resource Fair that's held annually at the Tom Raper Center on the Wayne County Fairgrounds in Richmond.
Much involvement as we can from the community to support the guys who have done so much for this country.
Everybody becomes a partner together to take care of the veterans, and that's what it's all about for us.
Eastern Indiana Works, Tuesday evenings at 10:30 on WETV, Channel 20.
And welcome back to the In Focus election special on Whitewater Community Television's WGTV Channel 11. Continuing to stay with me, Melissa Vance from the Wayne County Area Chamber of Commerce, Brenda McLean, Hometown Media Group, and we are joined by Larry Parker, Jane Bumelo, and Ron Oler.
Hi.
Dr. Oler, how are you?
Very
These
good.
are the winners of the Council at Large race, and once again, the city of Richmond has kind of split things. Council at Large, citywide, once again, all Republican, but by a narrow margin, we have a Democrat mayor again. It
Yes.
just seems to continue to be that way. It has been for a number of years, but congratulations to you all.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
As you all listened to people going out around, I know I saw you for a while. What were the conversations that people were having with you today for those that you got a chance to speak with? Anything?
Well, with me, the number one thing is they want to see people work together for the common good for everybody. They're tired of what we've seen in the media. They're tired of people not treating one another with respect, and they would love to see us work together for the common good for the whole community. Yeah.
The thing I heard a lot was a lot of thanks and congratulations to everybody who just put themselves out there to run for any public office. It's a lot of work. It takes a lot of commitment. We're not in it for the money. We're in it to serve our community. And even if you didn't win, you still did a good job. Everybody worked hard and has nothing to be ashamed of. Everybody who put their name on the ballot has a lot to be proud of, just wanting to serve their community in that fashion. So special thanks to them, and also thanks to everyone who came out and voted. Everyone who voted early, everyone who voted today, thank you for coming out and showing that you care for your community. And I hope that trend continues, that more people come out and vote next time.
Yeah.
You took a few years off, came back around. Is the conversation any different now than it was when you stepped away previously?
I think there's a little bit of a difference, but not a great deal. The thing that I found out today, there was an awful lot of nice people, and they were friendly to both sides. I mean, I stood with the Democrats as I welcomed people to the polls, and the Democrats stood with me, and I think the people of Richmond were happy to see both of the candidates out there and getting along together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brenda just alluded to this right before we came back on air, and that's really, at the local level, a lot of times parties aren't as important as working together,
Yes,
being able to
definitely.
accomplish things, looking at the issues and the budgets and figuring out how we can make our community better.
Make it a better place to live and to work.
One thing about it, you run as a Republican or you run as a Democrat, but once you're elected, you represent both people.
Yes,
and if you don't understand that, you have no business running, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because you represent everybody.
Yep.
And that's the way it has to be. And if you don't feel that way, then perhaps you shouldn't be running for any office.
And in this election, we even saw a little bit more. A couple of independent candidates, a couple libertarian candidates, so things are being split up even a little bit more than what they were. Other people maybe not feeling like their voices are being heard.
Right.
My office hears me say this all the time. I want to start a grassroots effort that says #don't put me in a box.
Right.
Because I have friends on both sides of the aisle, and I don't want somebody coming to me and calling me a bleeding heart liberal or a conservative, whatever the label is. So, that is my label. #don't put me in a box.
Right. Or I'll prove you wrong.
Go out and you all think about what you need to do. Obviously, happiness, joy, particularly for you, first time out.
Yep.
Was the process for you what you expected when you stepped in?
Through this whole process, I just have wanted to remain in the moment and enjoy the journey. And there's things that took me way out of my comfort zone, which is good. Since you have told us to look and it's a conversation and you don't have to stare at the camera, that helps. But I just really have enjoyed the journey. I've really grown a lot through this, and I'm thankful because I normally work behind the scenes. That's where my love is working with people behind the scenes. And so this is brought me out. And at first, I mean, it's like terrifying, but I wouldn't say I'm used to it, but I've overcome some fears, which is really good. And I've noticed with different people I've interacted with, I'm like, I felt more courage inside, just not so timid. So it's really good. I've needed to grow in a lot of different ways and be challenged in different ways, and this has definitely has done it.
Oh,
So it's
somehow I
good.
think the challenges have yet to be.
Oh, believe me, I know, I've heard, but I'm okay with that. I mean, you have to keep the bigger picture always before you of what's really important and the goal ultimately that's ahead. So we'll have the peace in the journey when we keep that in view.
It is interesting to have watched you as a new candidate and someone who's never run before, because I think that you have come across as a very relatable individual who is very authentic and genuine, and I
Thank
think
you.
people have picked up on that. So
thank you.
Yeah, not that you two haven't. I'm not saying that.
Thanks, Brenda.
She's a brand new candidate.
But no, she did a great job.
Well, it's one of the
You
things
chose well.
we spoke with Phil Quinn about in the beginning of tonight's show is really, people want to be able to relate to whoever it is that represents them.
Yeah.
They want somebody that's going to be at the table that has some connection, some similarity to themselves. And obviously, when they looked at the three of you, they felt that connection. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good, thank you.
Enjoy your evening.
Yes.
Enjoy the time.
Get some
Go
rest.
pick up your signs.
Yes, we've got to do that.
That's always a chore.
Yes. And thank you all for spending a little bit of your evening with us. We greatly do
thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you for having us.
Thank
the
you for
Chamber
having
putting
us. Thank you
on.
for everything.
Appreciate it.
Joint effort.
We'll be back with the In Focus Election Special in just a moment.
Hi, I'm Sherry Harlan Davis, program host for Read Beside You. Join us on our next episode when we learn about Medicare from Rebecca Wood and Terry Ham. We'll also learn about the Read Athletic Training Clinic from Jesse Tittle and Matthew Wright. Join us Thursday, 8 o'clock, Channel 20, WETV.
Hi, how can I help you?
My daughter has a fever and she isn't feeling well.
Okay, let's get her feeling better.
Receive quality care within the comfort of your own home. Read Health Now, right beside you.
Let's see if we can't get someone on here.
Hi, how can I help you today?
My dad is really sick and I just don't want to take him out in this weather.
Okay, let's get him feeling better.
Receive quality care in minutes, even in the middle of the night. Read Health Now, right beside you.
Girls Inc. of Wayne County inspires all girls to be strong, smart, bold.
Through interactive girls-only programming.
Kindergarten through 8th grade.
Hi, I'm Dave Paxton. Join me as I'm guest hosting this month's Access to the Arts, where we'll get an opportunity to talk to some of the leaders in the arts community here in the area.
Sounds like a lot of good shows getting ready to show up on the stage at Richmond Civic Theater.
Absolutely. We got a full fall season. So right now we have 58 art pieces that are being installed in Whitewater Hall in the Tom Thomas Gallery.
Join us on Access to the Arts, Thursday nights on WETV Channel 20.
Welcome back to the In Focus Election Special on Whitewater Community Television's WGTV Channel 11. The numbers disappeared.
I know.
This is strange.
There they are.
Thank you. We have the same scenario we had last time. Two people who are returning to office and a newbie, Karen Chasteen, who is the city clerk for
This is the 5th term.
the 5th term. Kelly Cruz Nicholson, who is District 2 representative for 3rd term. And Bill Engel, who, though he has been hanging around the city building for almost as long as I've known him, has never actually had an office until now. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it, Eric.
What's it been like for you two running? You've run unopposed most of the time.
Yes.
Had 2 opponents this time around.
I did.
What was that feeling like for you?
It's funny, and I misspoke too. This is my 4th term. I'm wrapping up my 3rd term right now. I'm going into my 4th term. And I mean, it's funny, Eric, you know me, you guys, I've known everybody for a long time. I haven't been any different, but I have to tell you that it was a little more stressful having 2 opponents. I mean, it really was. So many people had so many different opinions, and they're like, well, since this person is running, how are you going to do it this way? And if that person's running, how are you going to do it that way? And you know me, I'm like, well, I'm kind of always going to do it so, but it was good. I think that, our dean presented well, and that I am happy. I'm not, going to say that I'm not. I'm very happy that I can continue as a district council person. I think there's still some things I want to do, and so it's actually helped me to push a little farther. She's going to challenge me a little bit, She will. She'll challenge me, and she'll stay on me and say, let's get this done. So. That's good to know.
That's good for the community that the dialogue continues.
Correct.
I think.
Absolutely correct. Yeah.
Bill, first time out throwing your name into the hat, how was the experience for you?
It was a good experience. It was a lot more work than I thought, but I have to admit that I did enjoy it. I had a lot of help from a lot of different people, and that made it much better. And also, I walked a lot of neighborhoods, met a lot of people, and they were basically cordial and welcoming, and I was very pleased with that, and I hope to go from here,
How do you two, and anybody else who's on council, continue that connection, that close connection? Always during election time, we see the pictures. You walk in the neighborhoods, you're knocking on doors, and then you see it again 4 years later. How do you keep that connection in between times so that people feel like they're actually being heard?
Don't ask me. No. I think we have to do a lot of the same things. We have to be out in the neighborhoods. We have to be at meetings of organizations, and we have to talk to people. I really did hear a lot of feedback in walking the neighborhoods, and it was generally positive, I have to admit. And so, you have to stay out there, and that includes going to homes and events and businesses, and at least hear what people are saying. I think it's important.
And for me, I think that it's just, I've been a community outreach person for years and years, and continuing just to talk to people and listen to people, which is kind of what I do for a living. So, but just making sure, I'm not perfect. I've dropped the ball on a few things, and I have to learn from that and move forward from that. So that's my goal, is to just keep talking.
There's always a lot. There's a lot on the list of things that could be done. And how do you go about prioritizing what to put first? That's hard no matter what your job is. But when you're doing it so publicly, how do you make those kind of decisions? And then what's at the top of the list?
Well, being on council for 12 years, wrapping up my 12th year, that's a very good question, because sometimes what I see is important for our city, others don't see as important for our city. So it's very difficult. There are things that I would tackle within our city that are kind of on the back burner, and that it's disappointing. It's disappointing because you want to. A lot of people feel like that you can push things forward just because you're a city council person, and that's not necessarily true. And it gets it gets discouraging sometimes. But you know what? We have to keep moving. Yeah.
At the end of the day, there's only so many dollars, and
correct.
And you have to, you have to make those tough decisions, and then you have to communicate back to the public on why those decisions were tough.
Right.
And I don't know if you being brand new and kind of looking at it from a different lens because you haven't been quite as in the weeds in the past as you are about to be.
Sure.
Do you have a different perspective?
I'm not sure that I do. I think, I'm one member of a 9-person council. I think we have to work together on projects. Sometimes we're going to have to come up with our list as a group rather than one individual doing it. But I think you still, as Kelly said, you still have the projects you're interested in. You try to forward that. You try to make sure that that is either before council, before the administration, before the community. And I hope to be able to do that. I don't really have a list. Ron Oler asked me on the way out what committees I wanted to be on. What?
I haven't thought that
far. Said what?
You had an opponent this time for the first time in a while. You had 2 opponents. How was that experience for you?
I think it keeps you on your toes. I knew Diane pretty well. She was a neighbor, and our kids have played together, and so it's nice knowing her. And so there was no animosity there, and that's a good thing. And you just do what you do. You can't change anything. You can't do any more. You just have to do the best you can, and if you come out on top, that's great,
How do you keep the clerk's office engaged with people in trying to serve their needs? Because you all see people that
nobody
they never
else
see.
sees. I know, and we try to communicate that, though, to council. If there's something that comes into our office that we think maybe they need to know about, we let them know, and they can take care of it if we can't. So that's a good thing to keep those lines open. But I'm surprised that Bill isn't an expert just through osmosis. He's been around so long. I think he's going to be fine.
I think he's going to be fine, too. I think you all will all do very well. I hope that you all continue to work hard for the city as a resident. Obviously, there are hopes, there are expectations. You all have heard a lot of those. So the idea is to try to move those forward as best you can with the constraints that we are all under.
Oh, and we are under a lot. Yeah.
Will you all sleep better tonight?
Oh, I will sleep sound.
I'm exhausted, so I've been up since 3:30 this morning. I'm ready to go to bed. Yeah, ready to go to bed.
Yeah, but that's okay. It's a good exhaustion.
Yes. Good exhaustion.
Well,
There's some smiling faces
you
here.
guys.
We're going to let you all go. We're going to take one more break and be back and wrap up the In Focus election special here on Whitewater Community Television's WGTV, Channel 11. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You are watching Whitewater Government Television, Channel 11.
Hi, how can I help you?
My daughter has a fever and she isn't feeling well.
Okay, let's get her feeling better.
Receive quality care within the comfort of your own home. Read Health Now, right beside you.
Well, let's see if we can't get someone on here.
Hi, how can I help you today?
My dad is really sick, and I just don't want to take him out in this weather.
Okay, let's get him feeling better.
Receive quality care in minutes, even in the middle of the night. Read Health Now, right beside you.
When was the last time you visited the Joseph Moore Museum, one of Eastern Indiana's hidden treasures? Come check out one of 2 Egyptian mummies in Indiana. See skeletons of a giant beaver, mastodon, dinosaur. Look up at the stars and discover much, much more. Open year-round Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 1 to 5, and parking and admission are always free. The Joseph Moore Museum on the Earlham College campus in Richmond, Indiana.
Hi, I'm Tim Scales, the Director of the Center for Entrepreneurship and the host of In Your Business. Join us for our next episode when our guest will be representing the Old Schoolhouse Winery in Eaton, Ohio.
We're using our wine grapes, and it's just a classification to give grapes. So wine grapes, they have seeds, and there's thousands and thousands of varieties.
You can watch In Your Business Tuesday nights at 9:30 on WETV Channel 20.
Join WETV Tuesday evening for a clash of basketball powers in the IU East Student Events and Activities Center. The 4th-ranked Wildcats of Indiana Wesleyan University come calling to battle the 13th-ranked IU East Red Wolves. Come out and show your support for the hometown Red Wolves. If you can't make it to the gym, catch the action live with the pregame show beginning at 6:55 on Wayne County's Education Access Station and TV home of the Red Wolves. WETV, Channel 20. Welcome back to the In Focus Election Special on Whitewater Community Television's WGTV Channel 11. We're going to run slightly over where we thought we were going to be. We were shooting for 2 hours. We'll be closer to 2 hours and 5 minutes or so, but we had to make time for Mayor Dave Snow, who can hold on to that title.
I appreciate that you just gave the mayor an opportunity to talk after a hard-fought battle, and you think it's only going to be 5 minutes. That is so optimistic right now, Eric.
I'll promise
so
you 90 at some point, and
okay,
you know that.
Fair deal, fair deal.
How you doing? Congratulations.
Man, thank you so much. And I really got to start by thanking Thomas Owens and Jamie Loatman. What tremendous campaigns they ran. They ran strong, clean, confident campaigns. You don't see that anymore. This has been a really healthy conversation with the community, and strong candidates on your ballot. What more could you ask for? And so just a big thanks to them for the campaigns they ran, and a big thanks to the voters who stayed engaged with this and listened. We've been at debates, at forums, we've been in the neighborhoods, you've gotten stuff in the mail and articles in the newspaper. So just thanks to everybody all around. It's been a tremendous process.
So, how long do you get to sleep before you actually go back to work? Because you look tired.
I'm sure I look tired. I'm sure it's been an arduous process. It's its own animal to be doing the job every day while campaigning. The work is there, and so if campaigning pulls you away for a little bit of time, you got to make that up. And so if that is made up at 7 and 8 p.m. or through Saturday, so it's been a lot of hours. So I'm relieved that we can put that aside. I can get back to focusing on work. It's its own heavy, massive hours to deal with, but I'm excited about that. I'm as energized as ever. My alarm went off at 4 a.m. I probably look a little tired, but I'm feeling good. So I'll sleep in a little bit tomorrow, but then it's right back to work.
I know you try to stay engaged during the course of the time, but being mayor, you've got other things to do. But during the election, and we were talking with everybody else, you have to make time to walk, knock on doors, and talk to people.
Absolutely.
What have you heard that maybe you didn't know or didn't understand from the residents? Anything?
When I go out and the residents teach me something that I maybe wasn't aware of, oh my goodness. Yeah, there's lots of stories that come from the campaign trail, and I'm trying to think of some of them. What you'll get is very microcosm issues about maybe a tree. This tree is a problem, and it's been a problem for 5 years, but I haven't known how to deal with it. And it gives me an opportunity to write that information down and say, let's follow up on that and circle back on it. So it's really helpful. And you encounter a lot of that when you're out in the neighborhoods. And we knocked on well over 1,000 doors. We were probably somewhere in the 1,300 door range. And so you get a lot. You get a lot of different reactions. You encounter a lot of different scenarios, but that's where the campaign is, in my opinion. It's at the front doors. That one-on-one engagement, there's no replacement for that. And to just take the time to stand there and have the conversation, that's what it's all about. That's what it should be about. So that's the part of the campaign I enjoy the most, just getting out there and knocking on the doors.
What's been the biggest surprise this time around?
In this campaign, definitely, without a doubt, doing the job and campaigning for it.
Yeah.
And not just the time that takes, but how different the job becomes during the campaign, because suddenly everything you're doing is somehow chained to the campaign, which doesn't always make sense. And so people call in and they would complain, and then they would tie it to the campaign. They'd say, well, a car just got towed. The mayor's towing cars down here. He's up for election, you know. Okay, now hang on. The mayor doesn't tow cars. Let's pause for a minute. And no one said that the last 3.5 years. I don't know why we're saying it now. You know, so this kind of stuff like that. But it's, you know, it's a great process. There's no explaining it. There's no describing the flavor of it. But just getting this opportunity. You know, in my first campaign in 2015, I asked my hometown to have faith in me and give me a chance. And they did that. That is so humbling. I've represented Richmond around the state, around the country, in Japan, and then you have to work hard, because the second campaign, it's not the same animal. It's not a vote of faith. Now it's a report card. And so tonight is an affirmation of that work we've done, and that's a huge boost in and of itself. To know that my hometown put their faith in me, and tonight they affirmed the hard work I did, and I did as a team. So that's really important to me, yeah.
So you start tomorrow the task of putting together the team that goes forward. Some people stay. Are you foreseeing, and you don't have to tell us where, are you foreseeing any changes in your team this coming year?
I wouldn't see any heavy changes coming in the short term. There's a really good team in place right now. So hopefully, if all goes well, we'll keep that team in place. That's hard to do. People's lives change. As people age, they come up with different plans for their lives, and their kids and their grandkids move. And so I'm going to try and keep this team together, because they're a really good team. I'll tell you, just jumping back a little bit to Trick or Treat Night in the city building, I saw everybody getting ready for all the kids to come in, and I had this flashback to when I first came into office, and I could see this very huge difference in just the morale of the team. People were in very good spirits. They were putting on costumes, getting ready to pass out candy. You know, it was just a whole different atmosphere, and it was really good to see that. And it was a moment for me to make peace with this election and think, even if I don't win on election night, we've made a difference here. Morale is up. People have been getting the raises they deserve. The equipment's been updated. You know, we're back to contracts with our negotiating units. Things are better. There's still a lot of work to do, but we made a positive impact, and I had to make my peace with that and be ready for tonight and be ready to come in strong. So.
Want to jump in with anything? We're going to get a final question here. Anybody got anything?
I am just curious about how you felt social media was different within the campaign from the first time you ran to this time.
Oh, the big difference in social media. So coming into my first campaign in 2015, I was personally a stronger user of social media. Being mayor will make it so you never look at it again. So my interaction with social media is very different than what it was 4.5, 5 years ago. I will post things on Facebook, but I don't stay there and look at them. I post them, I walk away from them, I don't go back. It's an arena where I can't engage, and there's rarely anything constructive for me to do. So my interaction is very different. So I will often ask other people to keep an eye on it, and I say, if you see something constructive that I can do, tell me that thing. Don't tell me any of the rest of it. You know, yeah, because the rest of it's just noise that'll just bog you down, and you can't go to bed with that stuff in your head every night. Can't do it.
Totally agree.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'll look forward to our next 90-minute conversation.
I'm sure you
I love those conversations, so I'll look forward to
Great.
that. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Before we get out of here, a couple of things we probably should go ahead and remind you of. It's been raining, the wind's been blowing, and leaf collection is going on in the city through December 6th, weather permitting, as they say. So rake your leaves. There's some information there on the screen. You should be able to do that. I'm sure the mayor will be very happy, and his people are going to come around and pick it up and make everything look clean and shiny and nice and wonderful. And if not, what's that mayor's number again? Oh, sorry.
973-8488, right? Is that what it is? Is that the number?
Thank you.
Right. You set me up and I took a swing.
Yes, you did. Our In Focus program this Thursday, we are going to take a look back at the Veterans Memorial Park and the raising of the newest monument, part of Veterans Day weekend. Of course, want to remind you once again, the same way we started the show, that the Veterans Parade. It's going to be back downtown this year, kicking off at 12 o'clock. So please, if you can, get out to that. It's going to go from 12th and East Main down to 4th Street, rain or shine. The Veterans Day ceremony is going to be on November 11th at 11:11 a.m.
That's correct.
Making sure you didn't want to throw something else in there.
I will be there reading a proclamation, and I'm excited to be a part of that. Our local veterans do such a tremendous job with those ceremonies in Veterans Park, and what a gem that park is. I could go on and on. It's beautiful.
As we begin to get out of here, we're going to roll through numbers one more time for you as we thank everybody on staff who has been part of this evening, everybody from the Wayne County Area Chamber of Commerce, Melissa, Ed, Roxy, Brenda McLean from Hometown Media Group. We will be back here again way too soon.
That's right. It'll be around the corner.
Everybody on the staff here, Steve Michael, who is our volunteer and always here, Ephraim Monahan, who have been running cameras with us this evening, Michelle Thompson, who's been handling things out front, Caitlin Ballard, help me out, Ryan Harris, who has directed this evening. Thank you very much. We greatly appreciate it.
Judy Marsh.
And well,
That's
that
right.
goes without saying. My wife, who always is here on election evening, taking care of me, and everybody else here. Greatly appreciated. Thanks to everybody who came out this evening to IU East. Thank you to everyone who put their name on a ballot. It is greatly appreciated. Those conversations have to be had in our community. They are incredibly important. And sometime in the next week, if you are not registered to vote, go get registered to vote and be ready to do your duty in 2020. Thank you very much for watching this In Focus election special on Whitewater Community Television's WGTV Channel 11. I wish you well. Good night.